Aztec Culture, Part 1: Food, Clothing, and Shelter. The Aztec, a Mesoamerican civilization. Today's discussion of culture will cover humanity's three basic needs: food, clothing, and shelter. Food. The Aztec food was supplied by their own farmers. Large staples of the Aztec diet include fruits and vegetables, corn, beans, avocados, and peppers. Chinampas. The Aztec built floating gardens on lakes to grow more crops to feed their expanding empire. Here are some examples of those intricate floating gardens. Aztec farmed animals such as turkeys and ducks, but they also hunted wild animals such as deer, birds, fish, and frogs. Chocolate dates back to the Aztecs. Coca. The Aztec would take the large coca seeds and make a special chocolate drink with it during festivals and special occasions. It was a bitter drink that would sometimes be mixed with peppers and other spices. Moving to clothing. Much like the Mayans before them, Aztec clothing styles are based on rank, the largest portion of the population being slaves, then farmers, then soldiers, then priests, and then finally the emperor. The richer you were, the more important your job was, the more colorful and intricate your clothes became. You can see some examples of this right here. Some of these would be our warriors, some much more intricate clothing. So was our women over here. As you can tell, as you go up the social ladder right here, you're going to have much more intricate clothing, especially when you get to the ruler status. Children are wearing much more plain clothing, as well as over here. Aztec kings wore turquoise. The high king of each city was the only one allowed to wear turquoise, which is a very light blue. This would have been a hard color to make in Aztec society, which was why it was reserved just for kings. Shelter. Much like the Mayans, the Aztecs were divided into several smaller city-states, each with their own rulers and high priests that were supported by local surrounding farmers. These are called city-states. They built large temples and stone structures. The Aztec constructed a large stone temples to conduct business, host festivals, and worship. These large stone cities also provide homes for its upper class residents. So where you would be having your businesses, shops, things of those nature. Tenochtitlan. We've talked about this before. This is the great Aztec city, the most powerful of the Aztec cities. It's built in the middle of a lake. In the middle is the big stone structures, high temples is where the emperor, the priests, everyone's going to be. And then on the outskirts right here, you can see that there are canals and different streets, things along those nature. And then on the outskirts, even farther, you can see this is where the farming would have been. We're going to talk about some of the advantages of having a large, important city built in the middle of a lake. Well, first of all, it provides great defenses from potential invaders when you can only have these bridges and boats in order to access your city. It has a lot of great defense. They also grew crops on the water surrounding the city, those chinampas. You have to use boats to get around the city easily. This would be a time before cars. So it was very efficient to be able to take your boats and row around the city and get to places quickly. It's a completely designed city for maximum productivity and worship. So it's completely man-made, much like our cities are today, where we design them out with streets and layouts. It's clearly designed to get things done. But most people, though the Aztec built great cities, the majority of the population would have been slaves and farmers. They lived in smaller huts with thatched roofs, such as this one on the outskirts of big cities. You can see that they would have had household items such as pots and pans. as well as gourds, things like this to help with their cooking and cleaning and things of that nature. Here are some other examples of common homes. Some with like this outside plaster looking, which much more thatched. This is just wood on the outside. These are some examples of what more common Aztec homes would have looked like. You can see a little pen right here where they have turkeys, so they did have some domesticated animals. In part two, we'll cover religion, government, and more fun facts. So, hopefully, this gave you a good idea of the food, clothing, and shelter of the Aztecs. Thanks so much.